Hey everyone, it's Talia here. Welcome back to another video on my channel. Today I have for you guys a Coco and Claire swatching video, as well as sharing a mini tutorial, something you can do with green gel polishes. I wanted to add some green gel polishes to my collection. I didn't have many green gel polishes from Coco and Claire, and there's many times where I want to do, let's say, like a floral nails design or something, and I don't have green. So St. Patrick's Day coming up, maybe your clients want to wear green, but they don't want it to be like St. Patrick's Day themed. So I'm going to do a demo and show you guys how to do something really cool with green gel polishes and marbling them. I also wanted to try out the Coco and Claire matte, which comes with a green top as well. But yeah, let's dive in here and do some swatches of the green ones. That way you can kind of have an idea of how they compare if you're looking for a green to add to your collection as well. I am going to go in numerical order, so I'm going to figure out what order that is.
Number 10 here is a nice olive green. You guys saw this in my recent St. Patrick's Day tutorial. This color went down fairly easy in one coat, but again, when it comes to gel polishes, I generally like to do 2 coats just in case and just to get that true opaqueness that I'm personally looking for. Colors like this are great for fall time, as well as a really good transition color from winter to spring, and as well for floral nails, which you guys are going to see. I think this one really worked well for the floral tutorial that we're going to do at the end of this video as well. Number 34. Now they all do have names, and some of them are labeled with their names on their packaging, but this specific one was not. I think of this green as a peridot green. It's got a really nice kind of moss green base to it, and then there's silver flecks of glitters, but also like holographic multicolored glitters to it. It's a really nice glitter sparkle. I found that this specific one needed 2 coats to get a more opaque look. Keep in mind that these are gel polishes, and I do find that gel polishes, because they're a little bit of a thinner consistency for the most part, you get way more of a pigmented look if you do 2 coats. But some of them you guys are going to see definitely don't need the 2 coats. I really like this one, and I could see this being great for accents with different floral nails for spring. Number 37, I was blown away with how easy this one applied. It is a really nice kind of dark green multicolored flex sparkle, and when I first put the first coat down here, I was shocked at how pigmented that was. Usually with gel polishes and like glitter gel polishes specifically, because they are a little bit runny, I find that they definitely need 2 coats to be super pigmented, but because this one has a really nice green base to it, the chunky glitters just really popped with it. I thought it was beautiful. I think this one would be absolutely perfect for St. Patrick's Day, but I could see a lot of fabulous looks with this in the summer as well. Number 77 is called Dirty Martini, and it is more of like a chartreuse green, but a little bit muted. I found when I was applying this to the swatch stick that it definitely needed 2 coats. It is probably about a medium pigmentation. Like, it goes down really nice in one thin coat here. You probably could leave it, but just to get like a true opaque look, I did decide to go in with a second coat, and I think that this is a fabulous green for springtime because it is a little bit more pale, but it still has that medium tone, and it is a little bit of a muted tone. It'd be a great transition from winter to spring nails. Number 56 matches the clear jelly stamper kind of muted mint green that they came out with a few years ago. So if you guys have that in your collection, it's very similar to that one, and it's called Vintage Julep. I love this one because it is a little bit more of a muted mint green. I think it's fabulous for both spring and fall, actually, because of fall time we see a lot of these type of mint greens too that are just a little bit more muted than, say, a bright mint green. This one was a really creamy finish, and it went on super smooth with 1 coat. I'm totally just going to do a second one here so you guys can see how opaque it is with a second coat. I love the idea of doing like a fun vintage floral vibe with this specific color. I think it would look great for spring. Number 80 is a true chartreuse neon green. So if you think of like a neon green and then just add like a chartreuse effect to it, that's how I would describe this one. Now, whenever it comes to kind of neon gel polishes, it's really hard to get an opaque finish, especially off of 1 coat. I was really surprised with how well this applied in 1 coat though, and it does kind of have that see-through vibe that a lot of colors are lately that look really neat. I love this type of shade, but I would recommend doing 2 coats of this if you wanted it to be fairly opaque. Number 102, called Enlightened Mint, matches one of the clear jelly stamping polishes that I actually featured in my top 10 clear jelly stamping polish video. It's a brighter chartreuse neon green, kind of more of a medium green. This one went on super opaque and was super pigmented. Again, I did do 2 coats, but I don't know if it's overly necessary with this specific color. And this one is great for summer florals. I also wanted to show you guys a quick comparison of 87 Up and the Enlightened Mint color because they are fairly similar. So on the left, you can see that the 7-Up color is a little bit lighter than Enlightened Mint, and it also is a little bit more see-through, which you can do some really cool effects with these see-through polishes and color gels. And I really like using them for different nail art techniques. But in case you guys were wondering how these 2 specific colors compare, this is how they do. I have another mint gel polish to share with you guys. So 104 Mint Buttercream. This one leans a little bit more green than, say, blue turquoise type of mint shade. And this one applied really nice in one thin coat as well. I'm finding that the creamy gel polishes from Coco and Claire apply super nice in one coat. Just to build them up a little bit, I have done 2, I believe, in every single one, except you are going to see 3 in one of these, but I will let you guys know when that is. I also wanted to show you guys a comparison between the previous mint one that I shared with you guys. So number 56 Vintage Julep and 104 Mint Buttercream. On the left here, you will see that the Vintage Julep is just a slightly little bit darker. If you guys were trying to decide between the 2 of them and which one would be a little bit more versatile, I would personally pick the Vintage Julep one because I think it'll carry you through a few different seasons. Number 112 Winter Green is another sparkle gel polish. Now this one is kind of a cross between like a dark green, and I feel like it's got like a blue turquoise effect to it as well. And then the glitters in it are a light to medium green as well. Now this one I found to go on fairly sheer. I had to do about 3 coats to build this one up to like a true opaque glitter gel that I would want. The nice thing about colors like this is if you didn't want to spend the time building it up, it would look fantastic over top of other gel polish colors, which I think is really great because there's a lot of different ways that you can use it if you're going to layer it on top of different colors, and it makes the glitter gel a little bit more versatile in your collection by doing this. 121 I love. I think this color is so beautiful. It is called Olive, and I think it's like a true winter metallic green. When I look at this color, to me, it screams winter. I feel like colors like this are fantastic for the fall as well, and I actually wore a color very similar to this on my nails over the winter season and just loved it. So perfect for Christmas as well. Now, if you were looking at getting a color like this now, you can definitely make this work with different sort of floral nails or by toning it down with some other brighter colors as well. And this one went on in 2 coats, and it looks super opaque, and it has kind of a metallic finish to it. 145 really isn't a green. I kind of thought it was because it has a little bit of like a hint of a green to it, but it's definitely more of like a gold glitter. But I still wanted to include it in this video because it is part of their St. Patrick's Day launch, and it is called Lucky Charm, and it pairs really nicely with different green shades. I still think it has like a slight green look to it, but mostly it's gold. Anyway, this one went on in 2 coats. I found it to get fairly opaque. I think if you wanted it to be super sparkly though, you would want to do 3 just to make sure that you have the entire nail covered in glitter. .147 is called Under the Kilt. I just think that name's so funny. And this color I absolutely love. It is another glitter gel polish. I love the medium tone of this green. I love that it is a see-through base, and I love that it has multicolored glitters in it as well. This one took me about 2 coats to build it up, and I just think it would pair so nice with summer florals. It's great for spring as well too, but I think it would be fantastic as a summer green color. And you could pair this really nicely for St. Patrick's Day with florals, with different type of like swirl nails. I can just see so much potential with this specific glitter gel. I think it's beautiful. It's one of my favorites in the entire green swatching that I'm sharing with you guys today. Number 149, Magically Delicious, is another favorite in all of this swatching. It is a really nice kind of cross between a mint and a turquoise green, and this one applied so easily. This one, hands down, I think you could get away with doing one coat of this. It has some fine flecks of sparkle to it as well. I did end up doing a second coat, but I truly do not think that it was necessary. This color is super concentrated on its own, and this color is fantastic for spring, summer, fall, winter. I think there's so much you can do with this. Pair it with some snowflakes in the winter. In the fall, pair it with some leaf nails. It's a very versatile color that I truly think you would get a lot of use out of, and it's fantastic for spring and summer coming up here right away. The last one that I have to share with you is number 150 4-leaf clover. This was the only one that I really struggled with to get to look super concentrated. I found that it went on very sheer, and I found that I think this is kind of what this color is supposed to be though, because sometimes you do want that kind of sheer see-through look. I actually picture this when you stamp like a bright concentrated 4-leaf clover on top of it, or florals, because you know, I just always like to do florals. But I did find this one was, I don't think, meant to be built up and super concentrated. It would also be a great layering gel polish as well. That was all of the green gel polishes that I have to share with you guys. I wanted to make sure to have this video up for you guys to prepare for St. Patrick's Day as well as spring nails coming up, because I think we use a lot more greens in the spring. Coco and Claire also launched a St. Patrick's Day collection, which is really nice because it has a bunch of greens in it, but also some other shades of like brown and golds, and it's a really nice collection, and I love how it looks if you were looking for a bunch of different greens at once. I know it can be difficult to come up with nail art designs to do with green, so I did want to make sure to share one in this specific video. And my idea with using a whole bunch of different kinds of green gel polishes is to make the background look like leaves and stamp some florals on top of it. This way it tones down the greenery a little bit more, but it also is one of my favorite effects to do with stamping, by just stamping the middle. So I want to share that with you guys now. I'm gonna first take one of these sponges here. Now this sponge has a little bit more texture to it, and it's not super smooth, which is ideal for this specific look. And this tool that I'm gonna use, I just have in my collection, but I know that Clear Jelly Stamper has one as well, and it works really good for a sponging technique. I'm going to take a bunch of different gel polish greens here. For the most part, I want the creamy ones, but it is really nice to have the contrast between a little bit of sparkle and pearl as well. And I want a whole bunch of different shades. Now, if you don't have a bunch of different shades of gel polish, it's not a problem because you can easily mix different colors together to get different shades. Or if you wanted a little bit more of a mint green, say, you could just mix some white with with a darker green, and that would work really well. So what I'm going to do is just randomly kind of splatter these all over this specific nail. And it doesn't matter if some are a little bit more sheer than others. I just want to make sure that I'm not really globbing them on, because you could have problems with them curing, especially with the darker colors. And I'm not really concentrating on where I'm putting these. I just want to make sure that I'm not really layering them too much on top of each other when they're uncured like this. Does work well to do this technique in layers. So I am going to cure it now, and that way when I go in with some other layers on top of it, they're not gonna like bleed together very much. They're not gonna marble together, and it'll just kind of create a different effect with them being on top of each other. So when I do cure it and go in on top, I try to go, if it's like a darker color, go in with lighter on top, and a lighter color go in with a little bit of a darker ones on top. And then I did want to take some of the sparkle as well and just kind of place it randomly on the nails, because this is just going to poke through on top of the stamping. If they are wet, the colors are just going to kind of marble together, which actually looks really cool too. And especially if you use some more of those more runny gel polishes, they definitely bleed together with the other ones a little bit easier, which can add a really cool look. Now, honestly, you guys, you could stop here and this would just be a really cool accent nail. But because I wanted to incorporate some florals on top of it, we are going to go in and do that next. But you could also do this exact same technique if you were wanting to do like a camo nail too. After I'm happy with my look and I've cured it, I'm going to go in with the Coco and Claire matte and just do a thin layer over top of this. That way I can stamp on top of the matte top gloss. I actually really liked this matte, and I liked how it was super matte as soon as I pulled it out. It is also tack free too, which I really appreciate. The stamping plate that I'm going to use is CJS 104. It is their Daisy plate, and I'm going to use these stamping polishes, which are kind of off yellow, white, creamy type of colors, and the double-ended stamper, but more specifically the smaller end, which is probably my favorite end for precision stamping. I love the technique of just stamping the middles and not doing the outlines, which is what we're going to do in this nail tutorial here. And I wanted to use a variety of different yellow shades because I thought they would pop really nicely on the green. But going back and looking at this specific design, if you were to do white as well, I think it would look really sharp. You could also outline the florals too, but again, I just love the look of just stamping the middles because then we can go in with some of the centers on this plate and stamp the centers in a different color too, and it just looks really neat. I first saw this technique on Sharon SMG Nails on Instagram, and I fell in love with it. It's one of my favorite ways to use these floral stamping plates, and the Daisy plate works really well for this specific technique because they have a ton of really nice big outlines for the centers that look like florals, and there's also a whole bunch of really small dots on it for when you go in and do your center stamping as well. I'm going to use polish number 51, which is a really nice gold, to stamp the centers of the florals as well. And if I get a little bit of extra on the stamper, I just like to take it off with my glove, which is one of the reasons that I wear gloves. Now, it's really hard, you guys, for me to stamp on camera to see what I'm doing, but also show you guys. So I apologize if sometimes this is out of frame, and it's something that I will be working on a little bit more. Just keep in mind that it's really hard for me to see as well as you to see at the same time. But that center in the middle, I wasn't really happy with how I stamped it initially. So all I'm going to do is go in and stamp one more on top of it to kind of clean it up a little bit. I did not want this design to look matte, so I'm going to go in with the Coco and Claire shiny top gloss and just go over top of it, but it would look really nice matte as well too, which is nice about this specific technique is that you can do it two different ways. Now you can see the sparkles behind with the gel polish just kind of popping through, and I really love how that effect turned out by just adding a little hint of the sparkle gel polish as well. But thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch this video. I hope that it gave you an idea of some different green gel polishes that are out there from Coco and Claire, as well as a few different ways that you can use them and incorporate them into your nail designs. I think this is a fantastic technique to do for many different nail art looks, and I hope that it helps you guys learn how to use a little bit more of greenery in your designs as well. If you guys try something like this out, be sure to tag me on Instagram because I would love to check it out. Make sure you're following me on all my social media, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!